The time. Okay, let me start over. Good evening, everyone. It's February 9th, 7 p.m. We are at the Town of Cottage City Virtual Town Meeting. I have now called the meeting to order. I will start off with a roll call, starting with Commissioner Young.
Ward 1, Commissioner Young, present.
Commissioner Armache,
Present.
Commissioner Wheatley is present. Commissioner Givens.
Givens present.
Is Commissioner Uri with us tonight?
There's a Galaxy S10. I don't know who that is.
I don't know, that may be.
No, this is a representative from Delegate Fennell's office. This is Gloria.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
I don't believe Commissioner Uri is with us. So we'll go ahead and get started because we do have a quorum. So hopefully everyone had a chance to look at the minutes. We had quite a few.
I had trouble getting into them. So I haven't looked at all of them in detail. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It was a lot. I think we had what, 3, 4, 5 meetings. So we had 5 sets of minutes to review. So if you didn't get a chance to look at all of them, I truly do understand. Let's see. Were you able to look at the financials at all? Anyone?
I gave a quick
Sorry.
peruse, not a thorough.
Okay, well, I did look at the minutes. I sent my edits into Brittany earlier today and yesterday. And I spoke with Todd in regards to the questions that I had on the financials. So did anyone want to ask any questions in regards to the financials?
No questions.
All right.
I don't
so-
want to take the time. I just, for some reason, my computer was acting up today and I couldn't get in the town email and then I couldn't get in the minutes. And so just a little while ago, I finally managed to get into them, but I don't want to take the time of everybody else at this point.
Okay, so is there,
Flip to them.
that's fine, Commissioner Young. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes from the work session of 1/4, the special meeting, or the town hall meeting 1/12, the special meeting on 1/15, 1/21, and 1/24.
Thank you, Commissioner Armache. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Givens, I second.
Well, I'll second. Let Demetrius second.
Commissioner Givens, are you you've made the second?
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Givens, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Wheatley, aye. Motion passes. Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
I move that we approve the financial report for January.
Givens, I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Armache and Commissioner Givens. All in favor of approving the financials? Say aye.
Givens, aye.
Aye.
Young, aye.
Wheatley, aye. Todd, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
The financials you sent, is it just for January or is it for July through January?
So the budget versus actual is for the fiscal year, but then the receipts and the disbursements are just the activity in January.
Okay, so we just need to approve January then.
Yep.
Okay, all right. So I believe, did we take the vote? I don't know.
I don't think we took the vote. We had the motion, but I don't think we took the vote.
Right, so we just had the motion, and it was seconded. It was motion and properly second. So all in favor, say aye.
Givens, aye.
Aye.
Young, aye. I think
Wheatley,
we took
aye.
it, but aye again.
Yeah, aye. Motion passes. The financials for January 2022 are approved. Next on our agenda is the treasurer's report. Todd, would you like to take that?
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, everybody. It's an honor to talk through the financial situation of the town at this point. I'm just going to go over some highlights from the financials rather quickly. The first page in the document we provided in the financials is the balance sheet. Right there, we have itemized the cash accounts, cash balances of the town at the end of January 2022, 2.7 million. Obviously, you can see the change from the prior year of 2.1 million. Most of that's related to the ARPA funding. Second page, budget versus actuals. I'm going to scroll down to the middle of the page. Year to date, total income 1.7 million versus the budget amount of 2.7 million. So we're right over half of the budget raised. We're in a good spot for January. Things look good. And then I just want to highlight total expenditures, which are at the end of page 6. At the end of page 6, we talk about total expenses or our total budget versus, stop right there, up a little bit. We talk about total expenses year to date of 891,000 versus our budget expenditures of 2.7 million. So year to date, we've spent under a third of what we budgeted. So we're 7 months through the year. We're expecting like a 60% spend. So expenditures are coming in lighter than expected. Obviously, that's going to pick up with the ARPA spending, but we're still in a great spot as far as our spend year to date, and then in comparison to our revenue, which is right on track. So I'll stop there. Any questions? Okay, great. Commissioner Wheatley asked me to talk about the petty cash reimbursement. So I think Brittany is having issues getting the bill.com checks cashed at the local branch because the check is drawn on bill.com. We had a conversation about it. My recommendation is when it's time for her to replenish petty cash, she provides the chief or the TA a report and the documentation for all of the spending of the last draw of petty cash. Whoever the TA is or the chief reviews that, approves it, and then we cut her another check for the 450,000. Can be issued to her personally. She's responsible for then going, taking the check, depositing it, pulling the cash out, and putting it in the lockbox or the safe or whatever means the town keeps the cash for expenditures.
Just for the record,
Excuse me.
correction is 400, correction to be made. It's not 450,000. He means $450.
Appreciate that. Thank you. $450 is what we're carrying right now. Any questions about that process?
I'm just having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. It seems sort of fuzzy sometimes. Are you on speakerphone maybe, or?
No, I have my Bluetooth headset, so connection can be challenging. Do I sound better now?
It sounds sort of the same, but I'll just try to listen carefully.
Okay. Any questions on that process? Are we good there? Okay, great. The other question the Commissioner Wheatley and I discussed earlier was ARPA spending. So something I wanted to share. Treasury has come out with revised guidance. When the ARPA funds initially came out, towns had 4 buckets of spending that the ARPA spending had to be related to: infrastructure improvements, overtime, public safety pay, fighting the pandemic, and loss of revenue. Treasury has subsequently came out and revised the guidance so that now all towns that receive less than $10 million in ARPA funding can take a standard allowance for loss of income. So essentially what that means is, in this case, Town of Cottage City, where we received just under $600,000, the town can claim that loss of income calculation, and all regular government services can be reimbursed through ARPA funding. So as we get into April and we have the requirement to start reporting on what has been spent, we no longer have to say we spent this fighting COVID, we gave this much to the citizens. We can simply report that the town spent whatever year to date of the ARPA funding and report it as salaries or other government services. So it's been it's a huge relaxation in the reporting requirements and how the town is required to spend these ARPA funds. So it's great news. It loosens up the restrictions. I'll stop. Any questions about that?
So that's what we have to report. Is there anything that how does that relate to the records we need to keep, or backup information?
It's a great question. So what my recommendation is I think we're doing a good job of itemizing. You know, we have the family, the citizens relief, the family relief, and itemizing how we're going to track the funding for budgetary controls. But after that, when we get to reporting, we're going to keep it as simple as possible. So we're going to say we paid staff salaries in the amount equal to the ARPA funding spent to date, just to simplify things. So everything is good. We're doing everything right. We're doing everything by the book. It's just that we don't have that requirement. It has to be spent on infrastructure and broadband, et cetera, et cetera. So everything's in good shape.
Thank
And
you.
let me follow up. And how much are we talking about percentage wise, or a dollar amount of the ARPA funds that are allocated to the town, Todd?
100%. So since the threshold is up to $10 million. So since the town's appropriation was that 575 or 595, and they're below that threshold, 100% of the town's appropriation qualifies for that loss of income exemption.
Thank you.
Sure.
For the record, it's Todd, it's 1.2 million, I believe. Right now, we have only acquired 570 something thousand, but your point still well taken. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate the clarification. Right. First tranche is half of that. Second tranche will be coming in fiscal year 23.
Let me make a comment on that. The charter, regardless of what the feds do or the state, the charter still mandates an appropriation for these expenditures of public funds with enough specificity to state the purpose as required by the charter. Do you agree, Mr. Todd?
No, that's good clarification. And I think we should probably do a little bit better job of itemizing how we intend to spend from the ARPA funding. So yeah, I think we should be a little bit more thoughtful about our resolutions thing going forward. And where the spending falls. Something we could still tackle before the end of the year, but yeah, that's a good flag. I appreciate that.
Well, let me say it another way. The town needs to reflect in its detailed line item budget the various line items that go towards different purposes for expenditure of ARPA funds. I yield.
Yep, point well taken, understood.
Thank you, Todd. Is that the end of your report?
Yeah, that's all I have for this evening. And there's no other questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks
So,
all.
so next on our agenda is the grant manager report, which is Ms. Gross, Ms. Tracy Gross, our new grant manager. Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us this evening.
And thank you for having me, and good evening, everyone. So I see, and I'm going to report first on the grant, the Chesapeake Bay Trust Urban Trees Grant Program. So I've had a meeting with Ms. Denise Hamler and Chief Ayers on February 3rd, and we were discussing basically what the grant kind of looked like. We're at the early stages. So we were looking at requesting amount of $15,000, and that could cover anywhere from 25 to 100 trees. Right now, I'm currently partnering with Greg Pinkney from our Public Works Department, and he's going around to establish the different locations where we would want to place trees, have stump removal, and then we would calculate how many trees would possibly be needed for this project. The timeline, so the funds are to be dispersed in late June or July of this year. And the goal is for the trees to be planted in the fall of this year. So say we start planting in middle of September, then around February is when we would do a recheck of the trees to make sure we, say we need to put more mulch down, to pull old limbs, to water them, etc. We also have to decide if we're going to be using a contracting company to actually assist us with planting the trees. And then in regards to deliverables, we do need to establish our volunteers. We do want to include adults and children to participate. So the groups that we could be using are our green team. We could ask the Anacostia Watershed. Our Public Works Department would be assisting as well, and any churches or any groups within the community to get the community buy-in. In regards to meetings that I've had so far, I've met with Greg Pinkney to discuss the locations. And I also have met with the program manager, Mr. Greg Burks, with the CB Trust Grant Department. And he's been very informative. So any questions that I may have, I can just reach directly out to him. I have participated with some webinars with the CB Trust through their website in regards to completing their budgeting, what that looks like. And then I'm going to be completing a webinar tomorrow with regards to the grant program itself that was sent to me today. As far as materials that I've received so far, I have received pricing from the Department of Natural Resources in regards to, the cost of the trees. And I also received some information from the MDOT Urban Tree Program, because we may want to apply for a grant with them to have a matching grant with the CBT Trust. It's not necessary that we have to have that, but that's something we can think about in regards to moving forward. If we do decide to go with the MDOT Urban Tree, that grant is not due until July 15th of 2022. And the maximum we could get is $5,000. And that could assist with buying the materials, the bags, and those type of things. I do have a class that's scheduled in regards to grant writing for 2 days on February 17th and 18th. I've already have registered for that class. So that's next week. And I also, moving forward, we're looking into grant research for the USDA to see what grant programs are for the state of Maryland. So that's it in regards to that. If anybody have any questions, does anybody have any questions?
Ms. Gross, I have a quick question.
Yes.
So for the grant, is this a matching grant or in-kind grant, or did you say that in the beginning?
The CB Trust grant, the Chesapeake Bay Trust is the regular grant for the 15,000. They're saying they're recommending that we possibly could get a matching grant as well, and that would be through MDOT.
Okay, so for this grant, they're gonna put in the whole 15,000 and we don't have to put in any additional money or match it or do any kind of in-kind service with it?
We don't have to, but they do suggest, if we could, to get a matching grant as well. Yes.
Okay.
But it's not where we have to. No.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, Commissioner Givens, I would just recommend that you also parlay with Bladensburg. I know in the years past, they've been very successful and their teams getting grants and knowing what's on the bubble, since they go after a lot of different stuff. I know they used to, so that I'm not sure who the person is over there now, but it may be a good opportunity to meet that person and just kind of work with them and maybe piggyback off some of the stuff that they're doing to make your job a lot easier. So
Okay, and you said that's Bladensburg?
yes, they're part of the port
Okay.
towns. And so, and
Okay.
the only other thing is, do we have a placement for 100 trees? That seems like quite a bit.
No, we're not getting that many.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I was just saying for the 15,000, it could cover anywhere from 25 to 100 trees. We were looking
okay,
more,
okay,
yeah, we were looking more 50 and under, actually, for
okay,
us.
thank you, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Any other questions? And thank you for that. I'll reach out to Bladensburg tomorrow, Port Towns tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to move over to the ARPA funds. So right now we are using the government resources, which are in effect now under public health and the economic impact. In regards to public health, we've had the COVID vaccinations this week, started on Monday through this Saturday. And during the week, it covers the adults, and then the minors are covered on Saturday. As far as the economic impact, we do have 2 relief programs right now. We do have the Family Relief Fund, which a family could get up to $1,000 to pay any delinquent bills or anything like that. And then we have the Small Business Fund that they could receive up to $5,000. We have received applications for the Family Fund. We received 3 so far. I'm on the 4th now, and we have not received any Small Business Fund. But we did get an inquiry by telephone. They were from Montgomery County, and they had heard about our program. So the word is getting out there. And so with this program, we're assisting funds by paying utility bills, the rent, mortgage, water, and the electric and the gas. And we do have a checklist where they have to bring in certain documentations to be approved through that process. I think that's it, because Todd covered some of the information about the lost public sector revenue, and he covered the 2 options for determining losses. So I do have training that I will be attending on I have attended training on January 26th. It was with the ARPA NEU. And it just gave starting to give basic information. I do receive newsletters from them and updated information from them. So I am taking a call on Thursday from 3 to 4 to be able to ask any questions that we may have in regards to the ARPA fund. And that's it so far. Anybody have questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Oh, okay, well, thank you. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Gross. I appreciate your detail.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
See, what's next? Public comment. So, do we still have Miss Gloria from Delegate Fennell's office? Would you like to speak, or do you have any new information you'd like to share from the delegate with us?
No, I'm just gonna listen and take notes. And if you guys have any questions for her, I'll take them back to her.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other public comments at this time? I'll give you a few seconds to come off of mute. Let me see if we have anyone in. I don't see anything in the chat. So I think we can go on to the next item. So, Chief, you have old business. Would that be Mr. Redding that's going to do the code enforcement software?
That's correct.
Good evening, all. So if we are looking at the screen right now, so what I had done was I have taken all of the ones that I have received quotes for, and I did a demo for each of these, and I just kind of broke it down into very layman's terms, if you will. And what is the upfront cost, what's the annual cost, and then just the key features of what they do. I think the last time we all spoke, the problem was that the proposals that I had received were for both towns. That said, all of these numbers are updated with just the town of Cottage City. None of this has anything to do with Colmar Manor, so that should reflect the cost. And so, these key features that I list, like case management, auto-generate notices, those are like the biggest things for me to really be effective. So right now, when I'm out in the field, I'll give you an example today. I saw something. I went to the property, tried to make contact with the owner, no success. So I come back to the office, and then I have to look up the property owner. I have to then play with a Word document that I've created some templates for, but still it's time consuming. All of these software programs, it auto generates. So I click on the violation, boom, it comes down from a drop down box, and then bada bing, bada boom. All I have to do is click on the photos that I've taken, upload it on there. And then if there's any additional comments, that I want to specify on the notice, I can type it in there, and then it saves. And once it's in there, it's in there. It doesn't come out. And so for me, that holds me accountable and doesn't let me forget, but it also helps in court in particular. So if you look at the numbers, you'll see that Comcate, which was the one that I was recommending, I think last time the numbers were, well, I know for a fact, they were exactly double. So all of these prices have now been cut in half. So we would have to come up with $4,261 for the first year. And then after that, it would be $2,349. After 2 years, this is what I was told, at least from the executive director, is that is when they do a cost of living increase not to exceed, I think, 5%. But, again, he made it very clear to me that there is also wiggle room in that. If, say, some other pandemic happens, and the town was struggling financially, there's always ways to kind of work around it. The other ones, that I'll point out, like GoGov, that one, when you look at it the first time, you think, oh, wow, it's, significantly cheaper. But now that, Comcate has X'd out Colmar Manor, it actually comes out to be a cheaper program with more features. The other ones, they have a whole lot of features, but it also comes at a whole lot more money. So, you know, I also listed in the last box on all of these was, you know, just kind of my recommendation. And so I listed it with Comcate being number one. I think number two, I'd put GovPilot, but that has the highest annual fee. Number three was CitizenServe, but that has the highest upfront fee. And then last but surely not least would be GoGov. And the reason that one, even though it is cheap in the grand scheme of things, it seems kind of quickly put together. It doesn't seem like someone put a whole lot of thought into making it look very user friendly. It just is kind of wonky, if that's a good word to use.
Thank you, Mr. Redding. Is there any discussion or questions from Mr. Redding at this time?
I have a question. Where it says auto generate notices, I would assume that we or you would have to put into the program our own requirements in our ordinances so that it could do that, right?
Yes, ma'am. So the way that it is set up, so once you go into a contract with Comcate, there's usually somewhere in the ballpark of, you know, as early as 15 days to 45 days of integration where you work, you know, hand in hand with someone from Comcate, and you basically provide them your entire charter, and specifically the code sections. And so,
Well, the ordinance is not the charter. I mean, you can give them our charter too, but
yes,
it'd be in the
pardon me.
ordinances.
Actual ordinances, yes, ma'am. So they have their own little templates of, you know, what most places use, but then say if ours is different, like the fine or the compliance date that, you know, things are due, we work together to put all of that in there. If say the language is different than what other places use, we work together, and so it would be specific to our code, and I would with them to do that.
And so then when if and when we adopt any changes, now we have this arrangement with General Code, I think we still have that, where they update all our ordinances and charter and so forth as we make changes. Well, they incorporate them, I think, once a year, but they do include in their website updates to them. So would Comcate be responsible for watching out for any updates, or is that something that we would have to watch for and notify them about?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. So this has happened before, and usually they'll reach out. You know, sometimes it's monthly, sometimes it's every 6 months, depending on how many times you really need them. But they will ask you, and if say, you know, tonight during the meeting there was some sort of amendment to any of it, I could reach out to them and say, you know, hey, I need this to be changed. And they usually do it within 24 hours, at the most 48. There is user agreements that you can create where, you know, if we didn't want to do that, if we were constantly making changes, that I could go in there and manually update it myself. And just to try and cut out the middleman, but usually they'll do it on their end.
Okay. So basically, anytime a notice is created, it will cite the specific section that's allegedly been violated, and then have a picture that you've taken so that the person would know exactly what the violation is.
Correct. So it would save for that specific property. And, you know, we could design the violation notice when it's printed to actually incorporate the picture on the notice. That's something that I try to do with things that aren't, clear, that there might be some confusion when someone receives the notice. So yes, it would be on there. And then, like I said, once it's on there, and it would show every step, every time I put an entry in, it says the specific time. And then it's just there. And so if they comply, I would go in there and just say complied, but it's still there under their record for that specific property.
Okay, just one more question. So you had talked before about how first you would go to someone and you would talk with them, and then, you would give them a warning. At what point does this process click in? At the warning stage? I mean, you still would have the talking to them first, or what would be the progression there?
So I think that's the key question. So right now, if I'm out and about, and another example from today, I saw someone that had a refrigerator in their backyard. So I went up to the house and spoke with them and told them, yada, yada, yada. But because there wasn't a notice issued, there wasn't really any paper trail to fall back on. It's like it doesn't exist. So if that person weren't to comply within, X amount of days, I would then have to start fresh, with a warning notice. However, this software would start right then and there, because I could then go in and say, this is the interaction I had, and it would just show that it was a verbal warning. There wouldn't necessarily be a paper trail or a paper attached to that specific incident, but it would allow me to have record of what I did and the action I took and what I found. That way, if I come back in a couple of days and it's still there, I could auto-generate a notice, and it would show, hey, on X amount of days ago, I spoke with you and you said that you would rectify this, and yet it's still outstanding. So here is the violation notice with an even shorter time frame to comply, because now this is your second warning.
Okay, but those would only give like 2 days in between?
It's user discretion, if you will. Again, the compliance state isn't always something that's the same. So if I spoke with someone and they gave me, their Scout's honor that they were going to rectify the violation, and no paper is necessarily needed, and I've given them, 5 days or 7 days or whatever it is, and I come back and nothing has been done, then if I issue a violation notice, that time frame is going to be cut short, because I've already given you the opportunity to take care of it without paper. So, I think that this would give me the opportunity to have the proof of my interaction to begin with, because it would be dated and timed of when it actually happened. Because we don't have that currently, I can't do that, because, it's my word against theirs, and I don't have anything to fall back on proving that I did
Right.
anything.
Well, it sounds very good, and it does sound like that is the best one. My only other comment would be 2 days sounds like an awfully quick turnaround time for some things. Now, for some things, it might not be that quick, but for other things, that does seem a little
No,
quick,
and I was that as a number, right? That's not specific to all instances. This specific instance, I gave them, a couple days. I gave them a week from today to have a refrigerator gone. But the biggest issue was that the refrigerator door was attached, and that's a huge safety problem.
can be
So
dangerous, right?
absolutely. So
Well,
if it
thank-
was, that's all. That's not specific though.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Commissioner Gibbons. Two things. One, I don't think that it's wise to pick and choose whether it's 2 days or 3 days. Come up with a standard. If it's 7 days, then that's your standard. Because what happens is you start picking and choosing, then it's unfair, and we don't want to be unfair to anyone. So unless you have some exigent circumstances surrounding it, I could see something shorter, but on a normal, I think you should pick a standard. If 7 days is a standard, then use that as your moniker. The secondary thing is you don't have the ability to make it shorter when you do issue a violation. All of the ordinances stipulate they have a time frame on them, giving the person's X amount of days, if I'm not mistaken, attached to that. And you have to
That-
honor that based on the ordinance. So you don't really have any wiggle room on in that regard. So I just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. So, and I yield back.
Yes, sir. So I am aware of that. And, when I say user discretion, it's because I mean, if they tell me that, there's a circumstance where it might be longer than, the compliance date that the code, the ordinance says, I'm always willing to give somebody an extension so long as they show good faith. But I shouldn't have said a specific number because I do believe in an actual standard. So if it's usually, if I give somebody, say, a door hanger, that's kind of like a friendly reminder. That's 5 days across the board, no matter what the door hanger is for, unless it is for something that is extremely drastic and it could be of public harm. But other than that, then it's automatically violation notice, and that goes in line with our ordinances. It's always the same across the board.
Yeah, town attorney. Mr. Redding, I may have missed something I was doing with other town business. Does this system, and I think you're recommending Comcate, does it generate the actual municipal infraction citation form?
No. So that is something that, I have yet to see a software that is out that you can actually generate the municipal infraction. I believe it's DC 028. I know that there is a fillable PDF, and I think it could be put in there so that you could add that. That said, I know that I've been in court where code enforcement officers have filled out the fillable PDF and they have ripped out that specific citation out of the actual book that's issued from the state. And so they typed it in, but I've seen state's attorneys throw that out saying that that doesn't suffice. So I've always just, done it the old school way where you fill it out by hand.
Okay. And in terms of the amount of grace period you give before you commence the official process, I think that has to have a great deal of latitude and could be different for every type of violation, because some violations pose an imminent threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the public, whereas others do not. So there has to be some discretion in terms of the grace period that we've been talking about. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And that's what I was trying to say. I didn't mean that, I pick and choose of when I like to, kind of throw the book at someone and when I don't. I am extremely fair, and I believe in having set standards. I don't want to be that person that's known as, oh, he only gave me 2 days and then he gave me 14. That's not how I play ball. So yes, you're absolutely right, though. There is different elements that, something as simple as high grass, it's an eyesore, but it's not going to hurt anyone. But when you have a roof that's caving in, that's an imminent danger.
Thank you, Mr. Redding. Are there any other questions? Mr. Redding, did you want us to vote on your recommendation tonight, or did you want us to take some time and to go over it and come back with a decision next month?
I'm not sure that is my call, because if it was up to me, I would love a vote, because right now, while the weather is still cool, that would give me the time to work with them while, property issues aren't as bad as they are when it's spring. But, it's not my decision, I don't think.
Okay, so you presented this to us because you were just presenting it? Like,
So, just
Uh,
chief, so this chief,
yes, chief.
yeah, he's presenting this for us to do a vote tonight, for me, he can go ahead and get the software before we move forward. We presented before, but we had both Como Manor and our price tied together. We just coming back to show you that we got the prices split in half and that we're gonna get this item ourselves, not a joint project. So we trying to go for a vote tonight if possible.
And when would it start? When would this program start?
The way we planning to do it, if we vote on today, we should have it up and running when the weather breaks. So probably like mid-April.
Chief, do you
And
have?
would this come out of would this come out of the police budget?
No, we were trying to use the ARPA funds for this project.
So you can use ARPA funds for this program
Yes, ma'am.
software?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And then what we do is we're gonna put in our budget for the annual fees for the future. I will go ahead and make room to put it in the budget, so we have pay for it each year out of our budget, the police department's budget.
Point of order.
yes, Mr. Best?
I think you're wasting your time here at this juncture because I don't believe there's a contract before you. You might be able to award the bid, but that's about as far as you can go. You have no contract to approve the relationship with Comcate or any other vendor at this point. I yield.
Chief, do you have the contract?
Mr. Reddy, did you send the contract to me?
No, however, I can get the contract sent to you, probably, first thing in the morning.
All right, well, we won't have to pass this to next month meeting.
Okay. There's no further questions and we'll move on to the next item. Thank you, Mr. Reddy.
Thank you.
The firehouse on 38th Avenue.
I'm gonna yield that to Mr. Pigney. So he's the one that did the actual inspection, walkthrough inspection with the company.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The firehouse on 38th, we had a inspection on that building. I'm not sure if the commission was able to look at the document that was sent. It's about the size of a book. But there's a lot of
Yes, it's amazing.
there's a lot of different components to the building. Of course, we will really have to get a structural engineer, which we already know, to come out and really give us a best case and worst case scenario as far as the structure of that building. The two walls on the building are in very, very, very bad shape. On the outside, it looked like it's just patchable, but once you go on the inside and you can look clearly outside, you realize that the structural walls are very bad. And from the inspection, based off of what we gathered from the inspection, he's seeing it more so as there's going to be a portion of that building that's going to have to be taken out and reinforced, because the structure that's probably the worst is holding up an actual beam. And if that piece of concrete was to ever decide to give, then that upstairs floor is compromised. So it's an unfortunate situation, but the structure of it is in bad condition. Some of the stuff on the inside, as far as the electrical, looks like it was upgraded in certain areas, but not throughout the whole building. So of course, all of the electrical will have to be caught up to speed with the code, county codes and fire codes and all those things. The plumbing looks to be in bad shape as much as we can see. The roof, there was a question about the roof maybe being a green roof. I don't think that that's going to be possible based off of how the inspection went. The roof may not be able to hold a actual green roof, at least not the whole roof. What else was it? Of course, there's a lot of mold in the building, so everything in there will, of course, have to be gutted out. I'm not sure if he put in there asbestos or not, but he said he can about 100% guarantee that there's asbestos inside the building. That was pretty much it with the building. Again, there's a document. It's a thick book, but it breaks everything down. It has all the pictures and everything that you need to see if you wasn't able to go downstairs. It has the pictures of everything that he took downstairs with explanations and things to let you know what their recommendation is as far as getting that building up to code. I believe at this point, the acting town manager, our chief, wants to move forward with getting a structural engineer to come in. CPJ came out and they looked at it as well, and they have engineers that are on their team, structural engineers that are on their team, who they will be more than happy to provide them at our disposal so that we can actually get a structural engineer to come in and let us know if we actually have to tear the building down or if it's actually able to be repaired as it is. But nevertheless, we're not structural engineers and we can't really make that call. So until we can get one of them in here to let us know if it actually has to be torn down or if we can fix it, then, you know, we can really move forward with the next steps on that.
Attorney Best. Madam Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes, Mr. Best.
Thank you, Chairman. Greg, refresh my memory. What does the town own fee simple title to this old fire station property?
I believe we do now. The fire department owned it and they released the deed over to the town of Carter City.
Did I get a copy of the deed?
Mr. Huffman has it.
Okay. Did the commissioners pass an ordinance approving the acquisition of the property? Greg?
No, they
I
didn't.
think we did.
No, we didn't.
We didn't?
So, no, we
So
didn't.
we got a problem. State law mandates and requires the acquisition of property by municipal corporations to be done so by ordinance. So right now, holding title is ultra virus. We'll have to get that fixed.
Yeah, well, so just go ahead and work with the chief and get it done. At this point, there's no sense in continuing to belaboring the point. We get it.
Well, I had to know.
So we
what the
need to
point
do
was.
that.
No, I'm saying we don't need to keep talking about it. I understand. We heard you, and that I don't think the commission needs to continue to discuss it anymore because we know what we got to do. We got to get an ordinance to get it done. So we can't take any more action until we get that part of it done. So no
Sure,
more talk.
Commissioner. Fine, Commissioner. Thank you.
So that needs to be done. I just need to add one thing. There had been a question about the boundaries of the property, and there was a question about whether the house that's at the corner of Parkwood and 38, that the property behind that house somehow went into the property or into the area fronting or behind the firehouse property, so that when you walked out the door down below of the old firehouse, you walked onto their property. And we were going to have a survey done to make sure what the property lines were, to clear up that confusion. And if we haven't done that, we probably need to do that for sure. In addition to doing the ordinance, noting that we've purchased or that we've taken ownership of the property. We didn't purchase it. It was given to us.
So we can definitely work on that, I guess, once the commission pass the ordinance. And then we can move forward. We can get the documentation, the schematics of the whole building, the whole property lines. And then if need be, to get a survey, we'll get a survey as well to make sure that everything
Okay.
is the same.
Okay. Thanks.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pinkney. If there's no further questions for Mr. Pinkney, we'll move on to the next item. Mr. Pinkney, did you want to take the top lot?
Yes, I could take the top lot as well. There was questions about the top lot and the timing. We have enough time to be able to get this done. However, they want us to get it done as soon as possible, as quick as possible, because they don't want the grant to be just lingering and have to keep changing hands from town managers or grant writers to another. So we did realize that we do have an account number with Sourcewell, which is a company who does the bidding and gets us the best prices for those type of designs and things, and the materials as well. We do have an account with them, and most of the, if not all of the contractors who submitted a bid are familiar with Sourcewell, and they deal with Sourcewell, which is a plus. At this time, they're all submitting another design with the additions that we spoke of in previous meetings. We were waiting on the commission to come and give us some, particular things that they wanted in the top lot. However, we did speak with them, and they are going to render us some more designs, which we'll have at the next work session, that will have more freestanding equipment and a little bit more, filling the park up a little bit more, but not congesting it. Those freestanding things can go from educational pieces to musical pieces to small activity pieces that don't need a fall zone, which will increase the amount of space that you can actually utilize on the property, because with the fall zone, it takes away so much. So pieces that don't need fall zones, that they don't have to climb, but they can actually stand free and just play with those pieces of equipment. They're going to add some more of those things and submit those designs. And I should have them to you guys before the next work session.
I have a question. Could I ask a question?
Yes, Commissioner.
What can you tell us again? What's the deadline for spending those funds? It seems like there was a deadline that we had.
So we were under the impression that the deadline was April or August of this year. It's not. We actually can go into next year. They don't want us to go into next year. Again, because they want us to be able to get this project taken care of and get it off the books. Because the longer,
but we don't have to do it immediately, it's basically.
You don't have to do it immediately, but you need to do it immediately. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, okay, right. But we're not going to lose the money if we don't do it immediately. That's the main thing.
We don't have a date that we'll lose the money as of right now. However, we do need to spend the money as soon as we can.
Okay. And this one other quick question. You said something about musical things. What's that?
Different musical components, like they have activities where the kids can kind of like play the bongo drums. They have other
But
little
not
different-
electrical kind of
No,
stuff.
no. Park equipment.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Like xylophones made
Like
out of
xylophones,
pipes.
right.
Exactly.
Stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's
that they
great.
can
That's
stand
great.
still and play.
Okay. That clarifies it for me. Thank you. That'd be wonderful.
Any other questions about the tot lot?
I got a quick question. If we do find a design that we agree to, how soon can they get the equipment put up or installed?
It would depend on which one, I guess we go with. The bid that we had put out was 90 days, had a 90-day turnaround. And all of the companies assured us that they'll be able to perform within the 90 days. Weather won't, at this point, by the time that they be able to go out and actually put the stuff in, weather far as snow won't be an issue. So.
Okay, but will the children be able to enjoy the park this summer? Or this spring, when the weather breaks?
Once those designs come in, if we're able to choose a design next month, yes, we should be able to get everything in and be able to utilize that park around June or July this year.
Okay.
If not quicker, depending on how fast the equipment can come in.
Okay, but you know, it takes, everything is coming in slower, so that's why I'm asking.
Right. So we put 90 days on there. Of course, if stuff is, shipments ain't coming overseas or wherever it has to come from, that may slow it up, but nobody wants to bank on that. We want to, everybody is going with, we're going to make the order. It may take a little time, but it's not going to take 90 days for the stuff to get here and then another 90 days to put it in.
Okay.
And once they actually get their hands on the equipment, pretty much all of the companies had on there, or we had conversations that it only takes about 2 weeks at the most for them to actually come and do the demo, do the installation and lay everything down. It shouldn't take them no more than 2 weeks. So the biggest thing is just getting the stuff in.
So is any of the equipment recyclable or sustainable? Do you know?
I'm not totally sure, but I can find that out and be able to answer that question at the next meeting when we put the designs on the table.
Yeah, because that was a part of, I think that's part of the grant, isn't it? It has to be sustainable. Isn't that part of the grant?
I will have to look at it.
Yeah, I think that's part of the grant.
That might have been part of it, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
But I did reach out to the grantors and we had a good conversation about it. So we're not in any way about to lose the money, but we need to spend the money.
Yeah, we need to make our minds up. That's what we need to do. We need to make a decision. Okay. Anything else on the tot lot? Hearing nothing else, we'll move on. Inclement weather policy, is that going to be you, Chief?
Yes, ma'am. Open it up. Sorry. Apologize, it's loading up slow. Once I another pull up from my thing is not opening up.
Well, you want to tell us about it while you're waiting for the document to open?
I'll pull it up. So, the commission gave me the task to, put together a leave during inclement weather policy to follow the, Prince George's County government. So I pretty much put one together to match 2 other municipalities in the area that has the same kind of setup that we want. And it pretty much reads as follows: leave during inclement weather. The town shall follow Prince George's County government guidelines for closing during inclement weather. In the event of liberal leave policy has been declared, an employee will be required to take annual leave only for any time not worked. So then what we did was broke down what liberal leave is, and is as follows: under certain emergency conditions, the town of Cottage City may declare liberal leave for its non-essential employees. Such determinations that concede when the Prince George's County government non-school related declares liberal leave for their employees, or if declared by the commission chair or town manager. During a liberal leave declaration, the employee is responsible for using their own best judgment as to the conditions where they live or where they need to travel. The following conditions apply when liberal leave is in effect. So what it does, it goes through the 4 different ways that the employee can use liberal leave. So right now I'm asking permission for the commission to adopt this policy so we can put it into our personnel manual. And I did it as appendix F, so we don't have to change all the pages. We just put it on the back and we go ahead and change the glossary or table of contents.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions or comments for the chief?
Yes, I have a question. Chief, I see an appendix A, B, and C in the personnel handbook. I don't see anything that would follow with an F.
I was going, it has actually it has appendix A, B, C, D, E, and I did appendix F because that's the next one.
Okay.
Personnel manual.
Maybe I'm looking at an older version. Thank you.
Yeah, the new version has the appendix because I think she did the appendix to not change the whole back manual. And this, and for the record, Mr. Best, I made sure that this doesn't interfere with any other policies inside the manual. So I did look at all the leave, and we don't have anything that is close to inclement weather leave in the personnel manual as it's time.
Very nice. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for the chief?
Do we need to vote on this?
Yes, ma'am.
I would
Okay,
say
I
that.
move we adopt.
Hold on.
pardon me.
ma'am. Hold on. I think that whenever you do make the motion, you should indicate whatever appendage it is, because it doesn't.
We lost you, Demetrius.
No, I said I think that it should just be put in when you make the motion, just to indicate what appendage it is, to be placed in the employee handbook. That's all, because I didn't see it written on the document. Thank you.
It's up there, right?
Appendix F. Appendix F is in Frank.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll move that we adopt Appendix F. F is in Frank to be added to the existing employee manual.
I second.
I think you should say what Appendix F is. If someone's reading the minutes, they don't know what Appendix F is. So I think you should just give a title of whatever the appendix is, so that people be
Okay.
clear during that part.
I move that we approve and adopt Appendix F to the employee manual concerning leave during inclement weather and liberal leave to be added to the existing employee manual.
Commissioner Givens, I second.
Before we take the vote, can I ask a quick question? I'm sorry, I know there's a motion on the floor, but I want to ask a quick question if it's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
This liberal leave only applies to non-essential employees, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Essential personnel do not get liberal leave. We have to come in.
okay. So Commissioner Young, I think you might have to amend your motion so that it's on the record that this is for non-essential employees.
I think that's part of it, but if you want me to specify.
I think good for the minutes.
Okay, so I move, I move that the commission approve and adopt Appendix F to the existing employee manual concerning leave during inclement weather and liberal leave. And the liberal leave would apply to non-essential employees. Anything else?
Nope, that covered it.
Okay,
Commissioner
you want a
Givens, I
second again, Demetrius?
Givens, I second. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Young, Commissioner Givens. All in favor, say aye.
Givens, I.
Aye.
O'Shea, aye.
Wheatley, aye. Motion passes. All right, so office closure for holidays, the policy for that, you're gonna table that, Chief, or did you want to talk about it?
Yes, we can table it for time purposes, but I'm doing research on that. A lot of the different communities I spoke to, they're allowing the discretion be the town manager or city manager. But I spoke to a couple of commissioners, and a lot of commissioners saying they want something that's locked in. That would be something that everybody can use as a tool that's in the personnel manual that we rely on. So I'm still looking around to get the best practices, and I should have that for the next meeting. And the reason why we have time for this one because it only applies to for what we have right now, New Year's Day and Christmas. There's only two holidays that float. So we have time to get this rectified.
Thank you. So we'll move on to new business. First is the bond bill for the firehouse.
Yes, ma'am. A few weeks ago, we got an email from Senator Augustine to come on a quick meeting with him to see what we have working out with our projects in the town. Some of the projects that we went over with him, he said that, we couldn't use for a bond bill, but I told him about, we possibly have acquired a firehouse and we'd like to equip it with a community outreach center. He liked the idea and he told me to go ahead and put something together and submit it. We did submit it to speak with the State House Budget Committee. They met with us, heard what we wanted to do, and told us to go ahead and apply for the bond. Last week, we applied for the bond for both houses, the House as well as the Senate. Delegate Fennell is helping us with it, as well as Senator Augustine, to actually push our bond bill through. We are just waiting on standby to see exactly what's going on. Meantime, we will go ahead and work with our town attorney to make sure all the paperwork is where it's supposed to be in reference to the firehouse, and we go ahead and move forward to get this thing moving forward to whatever we need to do next once we get called back from the bond bill committee. But right now, we're just on standby waiting for them to make their selection for the next step.
Do you have a time frame?
Not yet. I know they're supposed to be going to the hearings shortly, and once they go to select the bonds, they're going to ask to come for hearings. We'll be notified of our hearing date, and so I'm just waiting for that.
Okay. You'll give us that information once you receive it.
Most definitely, because I believe one of the commissioners have to testify.
Okay.
One of the things you're gonna need for that is some type of number to be tied to what it's gonna take to get the property up in operable condition, I'd imagine, so that they can determine how much or if they're gonna grant a bond.
Right, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the problem I had at first. Because now they have a new setup, the way they're doing it, and when I spoke to them about that, they said because we in the infant stage of it, and because of COVID, they're allowing us to submit something that is at the ground level without having all the numbers that we need, as well as diagrams and reports from material reports. So they allow us to actually enter our bond this year at the ground level. So we gave them a number of 1 million. We probably won't get 1 million, but they allow us to go ahead and put in for 1 million at ground level to actually help us pay for architect, for design, for permits, for a beginning to end setup. So that's what we're doing right now. So in so many words, they know we're starting at the bottom. We don't have any documents to show. We just have an idea.
Are we working on getting any of those documents though?
Yes, we were, but now we have to slow down. I was going to ask for permission to go for to pay for an engineer to come in to actually do the assessment and do the markups, but we have to hold off on that right now. So that's why I didn't ask permission for a vote to allow us to move forward with that new business in reference to old business. No new business in reference to the old business in reference to the firehouse. We have to get some things straight first.
You mean like the structural?
Yeah, I was going to ask today. I was going to ask for to allow us to use the ARPA funds to go ahead and get the structural engineering in, and also start the design. But I have to slow down with that until we get the other stuff straight.
But at some point, we are going to have to do that.
Yeah, if y'all want to vote right now and give me the authority, once we get everything, in the process, to go ahead and move forward with the engineering and stuff, that could be helpful. That way I don't have to wait till next month. Well, we still have to wait till next month, but because we have to do the ordinance.
We could always do a special meeting.
All right, so it's up to you. Well, at a special meeting, I can do it at a special meeting.
I'm not doing no more special meetings. I'm done with special meetings. But y'all can forget.
Yeah, so we still have to wait. We still have to wait.
We've had way too many.
Yeah,
the only thing that I would say at this point, because we can't officially move on anything according to Mr. Best in regards to the ordinance, what you can do is you can identify some because if you're not going to put it out to RFP, you're still going to have 3 or more companies that you'll have to submit some type of proposal, estimated proposal. So perhaps you can have that set ready to go. So once we complete that other business, then we can perhaps vote on a company to begin whatever processes we need to get started on that.
This is the town attorney Best. Just let me say, don't let the ordinance slow you up, chief. The ordinance is going to ratify the acquisition of the property. So if you want to go out and do procurements, even award bids, et cetera, you can do that with or without a valid ordinance. The ordinance is going to take about probably 60 days unless you do it by emergency. And so, I wouldn't want it to hold you up. Legally, it doesn't need to do that.
And the reason why I'm saying that, sir, is because I definitely want to have some numbers when we go to the hearing for the bond bill. That's why I'm trying to, get things moving a little bit. So thank you for clarifying that. And at this time, I'm asking the commission to give me permission to start doing RFPs and putting out and try to get bids in.
I would say the RFP process, it's going to be lengthy. You're talking about a minimum of 4 months. because you have to publish in the paper and so on and so forth. And then you're beholding, not just beholding to them, but you might be wasting your time, because how many people read that paper, that the Prince George's County puts out? I think that personally, I think it's probably more productive for you to go out and identify structural engineer, or perhaps, go to other towns who are working on that and get advice, and then ask them to provide an estimate for them to come in and do the work.
Well, CPJ is under contract with us, and also Bladensburg. And they have an architect was on their payroll. Because we have a contract with them, can we just use them?
No, you can use them, but you can't, you could do it. It's not recommended that you do it. You would recommend that you still go out and get at least 2 more identified, because you're talking about, I assure you, you're gonna be talking about a lot of money. It may be it may be cheaper to tear that whole building down and build a new one for $1 million, but that's beside the point. I think it's in our best interest to just identify and have them come in, because otherwise we never really know what the competition, the numbers are, right? We
That's true.
On holding on what the CPJ says. So
Yes, sir. Okay, I'll work on that. Thank you very much. So right now I'm getting directions to go ahead and move forward to try to get bids for the architect, the engineering, structural integrity, as well as designs.
Let me piggyback off what Commissioner Givens just said, Chief. I recommend highly that you do not do any competitive procurement. You just go out and get quotes from 3 professionals. If we're talking about a professional services agreement from a professional like an architect or an engineer, just go out and solicit them and get the information you need to show the commission the comparative analysis on their fees. But don't do a formal bidding process, because typically under procurement ordinances, the acquisition of professional services agreement are waived in terms of competitive bidding. So, and you have a very liberal charter provision on waiver of procurement anyway. So I suggest you just go out and call each a professional and write down the information you need to do a comparative analysis. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Madam Chair, that's all I have for that. And I have my direction.
All right, thanks, Chief. Mr. Best, I had a question for you. I think
Yes,
there's a bill that's being proposed where municipalities will not have to, especially the smaller ones, will not have to advertise in the newspapers, or do you know what I'm talking about? Or don't have to advertise as long?
I haven't seen the bill personally, but that wouldn't surprise me if there was something to, the problem with that, I doubt there would be a bill on procurement dealing with municipalities, because it's a function of charters and codes of ordinances, procurement codes passed pursuant to ordinance provision. So I don't think the state would meddle with procurement. Maybe you're thinking about a notice requirement for charter amendments or something else.
It might be charter amendments. When I find it, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, if there's no more questions on the bond bill, next is our town manager selection. So I believe we have to take an official vote in the public and declare the salary, which I do not have that in front of me, but I know the chief sent it to us.
It's on the letter.
Yeah, I don't have the letter in front of me. But if I can find the letter. Chief, do you have the letter that we sent to Miss Richardson?
Yes, ma'am. I can pull it up.
Thank you.
Is someone trying to speak? There's some dead time here.
No, it seems like it's dead time. Is there something else that you can discuss so that it doesn't seem like we're not doing anything and we've kind of wasting time? Can we talk about something and then come back to that once he pulls the information up?
Next is the Cottage City
I've
Police
got-
Department Drug Reduction Program, which again, that's the chief.
Why don't you just go ahead and go
I've
to
got
Greg?
something that I've
Oh,
got
go ahead.
something that we could add in.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Um,
Young.
I think I'd sent emails to everybody about this. Delegate Carr sent an email asking us to support Senate Bill 376, the County and Municipal Street Lighting Investment Act. It's a bill which has been supported by MML, which allows local municipalities to take charge of, and let me see if I can quick find it, of the light poles from Pepco. The light would still come through Pepco, but the towns would be, any town that wanted to would be permitted to take charge of that. And I believe he said that Senator Augustine was in support of that. I'm trying to find it right now. But it seemed like a good thing for us to support him on. It's the County and Municipal Street Lighting Investment Act. Senator Susan Lee and Delegate Al Carr. It's enabling legislation intended to streamline the process for local governments considering acquiring utility-owned overhead streetlights and assuming ownership and maintenance. It allows towns to save money by doing this on their own. I don't think we could do anything like that. I think it would take a larger town would be able to do something like that. But this would just permit cities and towns that wanted to do that to do that. I don't know how, if I knew how to make this available to everyone, I would. Wanda, I think you got it, maybe. I can read
Yeah,
the whole
I have
thing
it.
to you. Okay.
I have it, but I don't have co-host rights. So
Oh, okay.
I can't share right now. I do have the letter from Ms. Richardson though, whenever you guys are ready to talk about that.
Okay. Well, this is scheduled for a vote on Tuesday, February 15th. So I guess we could talk about it at the work session if we don't have time to tonight, unless someone wants to go ahead with it now. Anyway, that's just one thing I wanted to add to the agenda, but
Thank you. So I found the letter from Ms. Richardson. The offer was for $80,000 per year at $38.46 per hour.
Okay, so with that said, Wanda, there's actually it's a salaried position. So with the salaried position, you don't really need to indicate the 38. It's the hourly salary because it's a salary position. You only have to do that to those who are not salaried, but because they may incur overtime compensation.
Okay, so the salary is $80,000 per year. The effective date of employment is February 28th, 2022. And it provides a position with 4 hours of sick leave and 4 hours of annual leave per pay period every 2 weeks.
It's been sent out, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, it's been sent out and it's been signed and received.
Is she to be employed as a contractual employee?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
but we, I know we have the contract that we did with Consuela. So I guess we could use the same one. We just have to change the numbers. And I do not have I think I have a copy of Consuela's old contract. I just need to change the numbers.
Yeah.
What I would.
Can
I'm
we
sorry,
vote to
Commissioner Gibbons.
authorize? Can we vote to authorize the chair to pull together that contract?
Did she request a contract?
She didn't request, this is a conditional offer letter that she signed.
In the future, if the parties agree to a contract, do not use offer letters that are signed. Because sometimes the terms of the offer letter collide with the terms of the contract. So that's my recommendation. Secondly, if she does not expressly and really kind of earnestly wish to have a contract, don't enter into a contract with her. She will be an at-will employee pursuant to the laws and policies of the town. So I would encourage you not to enter into a contract unless she demands one.
Chief, did she
So we
ask
don't
for a
need one.
contract? Chief,
No,
she didn't ask for one.
So I recommend that you, when she signs this offer letter, that will be the full and final acknowledgement, including her showing up for work on the 28th. That will be it. And you don't really need a contract unless you all have some compelling reason to have the parties enter into a contract. You just let her employment and her service be just like any other employee that's non-contractual. She'll operate under the employee handbook and the charter, and she'll transition out of service through those same documents without a contract that deviates from the law.
What
But it's
about
up
her
to you.
hours, Kevin? What about her hours? We were talking about Consuela and I think she was, we expected her to be here when necessary to do her job, for example, for town meetings and so forth. But she didn't get paid extra for those extra hours.
Commissioner Givens has already touched on that. She's a salaried employee. Whether she works 5 hours or 100 hours a week, she's a salaried employer. She does whatever is necessary to meet the needs and tasks assigned to her under her job description, the charter, and other policies of the town. So it's very common for people in executive positions to work more than 40 hours a week.
Right. But in the letter, we did specify a per hour amount, and then she did sign it. So does that? Pardon?
Well, I think that if we read this letter with the policies and the charter, it's very clear that she is a exempt employee under FLSA, and she is a salaried employee under the policies and laws of the town. I think a court would say that 3846 is just a nice to know number to compare it with the salary. It probably shouldn't have been put in there, but I didn't review this before it went out. I don't think there would be much traction for her to argue that if she was to work, say 10 hours of overtime, what would normally be overtime for a waged employee, she'd be able to argue extra compensation. No, the answer for that would be in the personnel policies. So I don't think 3846 is going to be a problem.
And furthermore.
But you don't think we need to?
Furthermore, hold on.
You don't think
to answer your question? Hold on. Maybe this will help you answer your question. Because I agree with Mr. Best. Let's not complicate the situation and not prolong the situation, make mountain out of a molehill. I think basically what we need, Consuela did this as well. No one's asking her to work more than per se 40 hours. They did is they adjusted their schedule to ensure that they worked at least 40 hours, but no one wants them to work 60 hours, right? So if she came in and Commissioner Wheatley can attest to this. If she worked tonight, working the meeting, and it was 3 hours, she came in either 3 hours late on Friday. It's a flexible situation because you're a town manager, and she's also indicated that she understands that during her interview that it's one of those jobs that's not a 9 to 5. I yield back. Thank you.
So all I was going to say is, so Kevin, you're saying that since she has signed the letter, we do not have to take any action, any formal action at this point, because her signing the letter finalized the employment situation, right? Is that what you're saying?
Maryland law permits employment by oral agreement, so that this letter is not completely necessary. It's just good to have. So
So do we need to vote on it tonight is the question.
well, have you voted on the selection of this individual to be the town manager? That's a question.
Yes, we did that in
Yes,
closed
we did.
session.
So you voted to appoint Miss Richardson to be the town manager for the town of Cottage City, effective with her first day of employment on February 28, 2022. You've already done that, right?
No, that's not
Okay.
what we did.
That-
All right,
that
so hold
needs-
on. Let me tell you what we did so you can help us get through the process, because what we did is we voted to hire Miss Richardson at the annual salary of $80,000 a year. Now, upon her agreement, at that point, the commission would opt to go ahead and make it official, because because if she didn't agree, then she's not hired, so that's kind of how I assumed it to be. I could be wrong, but now at this point she's accepted it, and now we should take the official in an open meeting to go ahead and solidify the start date and they identify her as receptive of the position. I yield back.
Okay,
Sounds
so
good to me.
since there may be a question on whether she was formally appointed to be the town manager, which is an officer position in the town, I would recommend that you do entertain a motion to appoint her as the town manager on a such and such effective date. I yield.
Is there a motion?
Okay, with that said, Ann, did you have anything else before I start?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I make a motion that the town of Cottage City hire Miss Carol Richardson for the position of town manager, a full-time position, salaried at $80,000 a year to begin effective February 28th.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioners Givens and Young. All in favor, say aye.
Givens, aye.
Young, I.
Wheatley, aye. Motion passes.
A point of order. I would, just as a point of clarity, I don't think that Brittany may have a problem with it right now, but again, I don't like to do policy based on who the employee is, but yet what's best for the town. I think that when we agree, when we say aye, we should say our name, because if you're taking minutes, you may be confused. You may not recognize someone's voice. And I just think for clarity purposes, for accuracy, it's probably in our best interest to just say Givens aye or Wheatley aye, just so that we can be clear. So I yield back. Thank you.
Good
Yeah,
point.
good point. But I think in this case, we all agreed. So it was unanimous. But I get what you're saying.
We've been doing it kind of like haphazardly, and I think that
sometimes we do it and sometimes we don't. So
thank you.
if we can just say our names prior to voicing our votes, that'll help. All right, let's keep it moving. Public Works sidewalk update, Mr. Pinckney. Or did I skip? Wait a minute, did I skip something? Yeah, I'm sorry. Chief, are you doing the drug reduction program? Sorry about that.
Yes, ma'am. Briefly, let me just give you a brief overview. So make sure to be ready for the opioid payout. It was told to me there's a good possibility that small municipalities have to have some kind of program to get the full amount. So for us to be ahead of the curve, to be ahead of the game, pretty much, we went ahead and got together and got our prevention program put together. And what we did was we crafted it to the point where it shows how we're going to spend the money or use the money if we have to tie the money to a program. So I got a copy of the program here for the commission to have and to review. We don't have to decide on tonight. Y'all can actually read over at your leisure. If y'all need something added or taken out, please let me know. We don't need it right away. It's the point where I just want to have something just in case they come back and say, well, to get your full amount, you need a program. So we went ahead and started on already. And I'm giving you a copy of it right now so the commission can actually review and see if they're okay with it. And we can talk about it next month, at next month meeting.
So I have a question. Does the program necessarily have to only indicate or stipulate opioids? Because there's other drugs out there that people may have an addiction to that we can
Right.
have under this umbrella?
Right, and that's why we put the DARE program, sir, on the program. So the DARE will actually cover that.
Okay,
That's the reason why we put that DARE in there.
thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, the DARE program, for those who don't know, covers all entry-level drugs like marijuana, alcohol, and those kind of drugs and stuff. So we actually educate and try to prevent the kids from even starting on those kind of gateway drugs. So that's why we put the DARE program in this policy, so we can get funding from the opioids to actually take care of our DARE program also. Any questions in reference to? And Mr. Best, this should suffice, correct?
Well, I do commend your proactivity, Chief, but it may be premature because the General Assembly and the Agency of State Government is going to promulgate rules and guidelines on expending at least a portion of your opioid payout from the settlement. There will be other conditions. So there may be provisions of this that conflict with the state's guidelines, but you can tweak that when it comes down the line. I imagine it'll be a good another 3, 4, 5 months before you'll see any state regulations on it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure.
I want to say one quick thing about that you said, Mr. Best. I was in a meeting just this week and the municipalities were not happy with the fact that the state is regulating or making the decisions on the money and how it's to be spent, because I guess the state didn't really take part in the litigation, and that they're creating this advisory council, and no one from the local government is going to be part of the advisory council. So the municipalities are not supporting this advisory council. I guess, and I don't know if you know about it or not, Mr. Best, but that's what they said. You do? Okay, so that's what they said this week. In regard. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me. 2 weeks ago, the Maryland Municipal Attorneys Association and the county attorneys got together and talked about this, and there was a lot of angst and disbelief about the way the Attorney General was handling that. There were a number of municipalities with their attorneys saying that the Attorney General should not be instigating a program that ties the hands of municipality or restricts how they use these funds, because they were all the municipalities that are getting these funds are only those that litigated. So there are many municipalities that did nothing. They sat on their hands, and they may get more than probably their just desserts because they never litigated. And that also, it was a bone of contention. So yeah, there's a lot going around here, but the fact of the matter is the National Settlement Agreement and the State Settlement Agreement gives the Attorney General a role. And so he has quite a bit of power in this thing. So there's a tug of war going on. We'll just see how the dust settles here in a few months.
Okay, yep. They were not happy in the meeting. Thank you. All right, so let's see what's going on. Acting town manager updates. Chief, you have anything for us tonight?
No, ma'am. Already discussed all my stuff, new business, old business. We can move on to next.
Public Works, Mr. Pinckney, sidewalks update.
Few things, sidewalk updates. This week is warm, so the contractors are supposed to be out tomorrow doing some work, and then they'll be back on their normal schedule on Monday. And hopefully be finished by mid-March, as we are hoping to be done at the end of March, but we're looking to be done by mid-March, weather permits. That's where we are with the sidewalks. There are some open sidewalks. They did come and get some of the spikes and cones and things that were sitting out before the snow started to come. So they did pick up some of those things because those sidewalks are dry. But now it's trying to fill in the ones that are hazardous that have been open for a while because of the weather conditions. So they're going to get those filled in, and then they're going to continue to demo and pour new sidewalks. Other updates, the commission wanted me to check to see if there was a date for Bladensburg Road completion. Again, they're still in the planning and design process, and they're not looking to really do anything with the Bladensburg Road until next year. However, Prince George's County put the fence up around the portion of the bridge that they took out, and they took it down and then put another kind of like orange fabric barricade around it. I did speak with State Highway, and they are going to get a fence put back up because they don't like that particular structure. So they're going to get a fence put back up. And then also with the signage that has fallen over, and I think one was in an accident, they're going to come out and they're going to get those signs back up and clear the one that is damaged and replace it. They're looking, because of how long it's going to be, they're looking to put more permanent signs in that will, not permanent, but signs that will hold longer with poles going in the ground versus the wood structures that they've been using. Because of how long the process and the project is going to take, they want to ensure that the signage won't continue to fall. So they're looking to put some signage in that will actually go into the dirt, be driven into the dirt, and be able to hold those signs up. Hopefully by the
Why
end of
is it taking so long? I'm sorry, but you're about to go on from that.
Well, the process, I'm not sure if you remember what the conversation that we had, the last conversation about this, but the process changed. Prince George's County was going to put the bridge in, but now they have turned it over to the state. So the state is actually going to put the bridge in. Prince George's County came out and they removed the bridge, and they did a temporary structure underneath to hold up the sediment and everything from deteriorating any more than what it has, and also to keep the roadway from collapsing. And then State Highway is now taking it over, so they have to come and they have to rectify the drainage issue, and then they're going to put a permanent structure underneath that will hold, and then once they finish that, they'll put a sidewalk, not a bridge type structure, but an actual sidewalk across it all. But like I said, Prince George's County was doing it, but now it's been turned over into the state, and the state doesn't have the funds to do it. They didn't plan to do it. So now they are in the process of getting the designs and everything. Happy to say that they did get the funds to be able to do it, but the process of the designing and the different parties that they have to talk to in reference to all the historical sites that are there, with Doolin Creek and some other historical sites that they mentioned. I can't think of them offhand. But they have to talk to all those different parties, and they have to come up with a design that's going to be feasible for the safety of the pedestrians, as well as keeping the historical land intact. So it's taking a lot longer than we want, but they did find the funds to be able to fix the area. Park and planning is supposed to be coming out very soon to do across the street. That one is going to get done first on Como Manor side. That one will get done first, and then ours will be after that. But Como Manor side is supposed to be getting done very soon. It should have been done, but there was an issue with, I guess, delivery of materials and stuff. As we all know, that a lot of that stuff has been held back. But theirs should be getting done soon. I'm not sure if they got the material yet, or if they were just waiting until the weather gets a little better. But it was supposed to have been done, I believe, last year, November, and it hasn't been done yet. So that one should be getting done very soon. And then ours will be the following next year.
Is theirs getting done first because theirs is in relatively better shape and requires less work? Is that the deal?
No, theirs is getting done because Park and Planning is doing it.
Well, why
And,
couldn't we get park? I mean, it just seems like this is taking forever.
well, Park and Planning has dominion over that bridge. They don't have dominion over our bridge. Our bridge was
Oh,
with the county, and the county is giving it to SHA because SHA is going to put the permanent structure under there for the holding up all of the sediment and everything, so that we won't continue to get that deterioration. And then once they finish that, they're just going to go ahead and complete the project, and put the sidewalk in. So it's two different people that own both bridges. It's not one person that owns this one and that owns that one, and they just chose to do that one first. It's two different owners, or two different people that have the power and authority over each one of them. So Park and Planning is moving a lot faster because they want to get it done and get it over with. They found the money to be able to do it, and they're going to get it done.
but even though this is really just one bridge, it's got a sidewalk on each side, but they're saying that part of it's owned by Parks and Planning, and part of it's now responsible. The state's now responsible for it. It's just sort of amazing that it. But anyway, thank you for the update. I was going to ask about that.
So whenever I get a time frame on the fence getting put up, I'll let you guys know. Hopefully it'll be done. They'll be out here next week just putting it up, because she really wants that fence up, because the fear is that a young child go walking down there, there's not a structure that's strong enough to keep them from tipping over. So they want to put the fence back up versus the barricade that they have now.
Madam
Um,
Chair,
Thank you.
Just a second. Mr. Pinckney, there's a comment from a public comment in the chat in regards to the sidewalks. Could you respond to that, please? And then we'll hear from Mr. Best. It's from Josh.
Can you just go ahead and read it? Because he may not be able to.
Yes, they are responsible for cleaning up those areas adjacent to the sidewalks, and I will make sure that they are aware that that's a complaint from the citizens, that they make sure that they clean those up. They are going to do them, but I did have to go and do one because it was kind of a lot of stuff, and The snow was over top of it several times, and once it cleared up, I went and got it. A lot of it is dirt that just needs to be kind of raked into the grass a little bit better. And then some of it has roots and stuff like that that just needs to be taken out and thrown away. So yes, they are responsible for that, and they will be cleaning those up.
Thank you, Mr. Best.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you haven't done it already, you might want to reach out to Delegate Fennell or your senator to kind of light a fire under SHA on that bridge issue that you, Greg was briefing you on. I yield.
Yes, we've been in contact with both our delegate and our senator. They've been doing the most and the best that they can to get it addressed.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's no
Another-
further questions.
Another update is the lighting. Commission wanted to get an update on the lighting on Cottage Terrace and on Parkwood. So I'm not sure how far Ms. Barbara got with getting the issue rectified, but I did get to talk to Mr. Ruffin, and he put me in contact with the person who actually handles the street lights, putting in new street lights and things. So I sent him a list of addresses and streets of where the light is needed. They're going to go out and do an evaluation on the light. They're going to call me when they're planning to come out. We're going to go out and do a evaluation on those lights and determine what type of lights will be needed, what the cost would be, and then I'll be able to present that to the commission for further evaluation, whether the commission wants to pay for it or continue to wait until they do something with the LED. However, I would say that the LED proposal that was presented did not get passed. And they're doing some other stuff right now to put some things in place where they can submit another proposal to the powers that be so that they can try to get that one passed. But as of right now, the LED, the changing the lights from what they are now to LED did not pass. So once I get those numbers, that's the numbers that we're going to have. And if we want Pepco to put them in, we will have to make a decision to put those in. I'm not sure if ARPA will take care of that or if that's something that we would have to put in the budget, but I'm trying to get those numbers before my budget meeting for sure, so that if we do have to put it in the budget, that we'll have those numbers to be able to put those numbers in the budget for next year's budget.
Is that it for you, Mr. Pinckney?
That is it.
All right.
I have a
there's no-
couple more questions. Could I
Go
ask a
ahead.
couple more questions?
Go ahead.
First on the speed hump Parkwood, is that progressing? Is that going to happen soon?
The speed humps are going to happen, but we're going to have to wait until the spring, as I had gave report on that at last month's meeting. Because of the weather, how cold it is, and with the snow, it's not suggested that we try to even move forward with putting speed humps in right now, that we should wait until like mid-March, early April to do them. So at the next meeting, we should be able to have the approval to move forward with those.
Okay. And the other question, I don't know if what you can do about this, but anyway, I guess it was Pepco was out here doing something with some of the light poles. And I just noticed one in the alleyway between Cottage Terrace and Parkwood down near 37th. It looked like the light pole was just shredding apart. And I don't know whether that may have something to do with that bill that some of the towns are wanting to get passed, but it's behind between the second and third house up from 37th in the alley. If you want to look at it and just see how bad it looks. And, let me know what, if anything, can be done.
Sure. Another thing is, Officer Thompson, as the nights come, he usually does a evaluation of all our light poles to see which ones are on or which ones are off. As of this week, we've had 3 poles that were out. So a request is going in for those poles to have them come out and change those, and we should have lights back up. If not the end of this week, by early next week, those lights should be back up.
Thank you.
Where are we at with the lights in regards to down by the garden? You have an update?
The lights would go down by the garden.
Yeah, we talked about upgrading those lights. You said that you wanted to give a Pepco first to find out.
I just gave that report.
You haven't heard it. It's been 2 years.
I just explained that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
I
that's the
apologize.
one that I was talking about, as far as the lights on Cottage Terrace and Parkwood.
Oh, okay.
So I actually got in contact with the right person who we need to come out to do the evaluation. And they'll let me know when they're coming out, and they'll be able to give me a cost on what it would take to actually get proper lighting on those streets.
Okay, thank you. So I can get back with Mr. Brooks.
Yeah. That's all I have, Commissioner Weaver.
Thank you. Chief, you're up next.
Yes, I was asked at the last meeting to check on the MAA with Brentwood. Letting the commission know until we get this MAA back, we are not backing up Brentwood. The chief knows that, and Brentwood is not allowing any of his officers coming over to our town to assist. I did talk to the chief. He said that he's still waiting for getting back from the attorney to go put it back in front of the commission for the agree on our changes that Mr. Best suggested. And so once we get that, I'll put it back in front of the commission with their approval to move forward with the MAA. Any questions about that before I move forward? All right. No, I guess there's no questions about that. In reference to our vaccine site, it's been pretty successful. We averaging between 12 to 18 people coming out to get vaccinated at our daily vaccinations this week. We are getting the lieutenant governor and the general, brigadier general, Rickett to come out to actually do a press conference at the town hall this Friday. They are requesting for the commission chair as well as commissioners to attend if possible. Also, I did put a request out for invite to Delegate Fennell as well as Senator Augustine. I do know that Councilwoman Ivy is attending for the press conference to talk about the surge of outbreaks in the state of Maryland. Letting you know, Prince George's County numbers have went down. Actually, we are leading in the state in reference to reduction of COVID outbreaks. So we're doing a good job here in our county. We want to continue on. I think that's because we are doing a great job vaccinating our citizens as well as wearing masks. So if you are going to come, please let me know so I can actually let the GoVax people know that who are attending from our commission. In reference to the Red Speed, I met with Red Speed last week. We did go forward in reference to starting the permit process as well as putting out the strips to actually do their assessment and their speed study on Bladensburg Road as well as 38th Avenue. So they will get back with the studies hopefully mid-March with how much they anticipate violators that's going to be hitting those top speed of 12 miles over, as well as give us an idea of what time those speeders are hitting our streets. So I'll have that study back to the commission hopefully by mid-March. Pretty much other than that, that's all I have for the police department. Any questions, concerns?
I have a question, Chief. Remember you used to give us a report with how many tickets were written, how many violations, citations, and how many break-ins or anything? Are we still gonna get those reports? Because I haven't
Yes.
seen it
Yes,
lately.
I haven't done it in the last 2 months, but what I can do is I can put it together and get it out to y'all before the end of the week for last month and this month. It's just I've been real tied up with other things, other duties, but I'll make sure I have those studies, those reports to you before Friday. Both
Thank you.
last month and this month. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can we make sure that those reports, once you get, I know that you've been trying to do two hats, but once you get settled, can we make sure those reports are going into the newsletter?
Yes, sir. I can do that.
We can put it up on the website too.
Yes.
All right, are there any questions for the chief? Hearing no questions for the chief, we'll move on to Ward 1, Commissioner Young. Do you have anything to report out?
I don't really have a report, but I do want to ask, when is the next budget meeting, and are we sort of on course with those at this point? I know we've been, without a town manager, and the chief's been sort of overloaded being chief and acting town manager, but
I believe the next one is February 16th.
A week from today?
That's what I have on my schedule as well.
That's what I have on my calendar.
Okay. And our treasurer knows that?
Yes, the treasurer has all the budget dates.
Okay, I had it down, but I had a question mark by it because I didn't know whether we'd finalized that. And then the next one after that would be, I have a question mark that we might have it after our work session on March 1st, and then we might have another one after our town meeting on March 9th, and that we might have another one on March 16th. Have we finalized?
Yes, we finalized
dates?
the dates. The actual dates are in the minutes, and we finalized them. So yes.
Do you have them off the top of your head?
I will
Or
have
does
to.
anyone have a schedule, or maybe if no one does now, maybe someone could send those out at some point?
I can text them to you, Ann, later.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
I can tell you the dates. The next one is the administration. Well, no, the next one is the 16th. That's the public works budget. And then on the 1st is the police department. On the 16th is the budget review and tax rate. On April 5th is
And
the
then on
notice.
on March 3rd,
March 1st is
first.
the police department.
Okay.
March 16th is the budget review and tax rate. April 5th is the notice that will go out after the meeting about the tax levy. The budget hearing will be on May 3rd, and the notice will go out the week of April 11th. And the fair summary will be advertised the week of May 9th. And the first reader for the ordinance will be May 11th. And we'll do the budget adoption on May 18th. And then the fair summary will be advertised the week of May 23rd.
Okay. I didn't write those down that quickly, so if you want to send those out also, that'd be great.
I
Thank
can
you.
send them to you, but they're in the minutes for January 12th. If you ever have a chance to look at them.
Please send it to him. Please send it to her. I'm ready to go.
What?
I'm ready to go. Can we move on? She's gonna send them to you. She's gonna send them to you.
I'll send
Thank
them to
you.
you. I'll send them to you, Ann. I'll send them to you tonight.
Thank you. Send them to everybody, just so we'll all be sure. Thank you.
Ward 2, do you have anything to report out?
No.
All right. I do want to ask the commission to decide or take a vote on whether or not we're going to donate $1,000 to the Garden Summit. I know we discussed it last month and we didn't take the vote. I guess the vote didn't pass, but you guys wanted me to find out if we could use the ARPA funds for the donation, and we can. It would fall under community outreach and I think food sources or something like that. But I know you can use the ARPA funds for it. So I would like to know if we can take a vote tonight so I can get back to the committee.
Fine with me.
ARPA funds.
Same.
I know you guys are saying that, but I'm gonna have to get a motion because obviously when you guys said it last time, they didn't write it down as a motion. They didn't approve it. They didn't believe me or whatever. So I'll make the motion.
So you want one of us to make the motion?
I'll make the motion. I just need someone to second it.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that the town of Cottage City allot $1,000 from our ARPA funds to the Garden Summit to be held in either April or May of this year.
Second, Commissioner Young.
So thank you, Commissioner Young, for making this second. I'll take the vote. Commissioner Young, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Armache, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Givens, how do you vote?
Givens, aye.
Commissioner Wheatley, aye. Commissioner Uri is absent. Motion passes. Thanks, everyone. That's all I have to report. Ward 4, Commissioner Givens, do you have anything to report out?
Yes, the public works building office is done, and still encourage, Commissioner Young came by and looked at it. I still encourage the rest of you
It's
guys to come
gorgeous.
up and take a look at it. So I think Greg's still working. He should probably give you an update in regards to the internet thing, so he can move his computer and the rest of his furniture in there, and find out what is this move-in date so that we can allot for our new employees set up in the town hall. And also I got a call today that the towers are going to be closing. I'm not sure exactly when. They're going to come back and give me some update, and they're going to be remodeling, and they're going to open back up as a Section 8 building. So that kind of came to me as a surprise because I had
Where's everybody going to go?
I had a resident call me and tell me that, and so I was shocked that we didn't kind of get any notice from the county. So he's going to bring me the letter that they gave him, and then I'll share that with the commission and try to get more information as to when the anticipated closing dates and reopening dates, and maybe perhaps get someone from the county to kind of give us a synopsis of what's going on, and that probably be even better for us. But that's pretty much all I have. And as far as where they're going, I'm sure they'll place them in some other type of facilities that they have around the county. One time when they were doing individual remodels, they were putting them up at I think at a hotel or apartments or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but they'll figure that out. That's on them.
But they keep their apartments?
No, they'll have to reapply to come back. So there'll be Section 8 apartments now. So, which is a little bit different than
Oh gosh.
they're now. Right now, it started off as a senior building, then it became a senior and disabled building. And so those wishing to come back will have to reapply, as he told me. I again, this is all secondhand knowledge, so I think it's once I get that information, and we can probably reach out to someone on that page and try to get someone from the county, from Pepper Tree, to come down and speak with the commission and kind of give us a more solid update as to actual factual information. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens. We do need to go into a closed session real quick. And Commissioner Uri isn't here, so we won't have a report from our at-large commissioner. So I'll read the statement allowing us to go into closed session. And then I'll ask for a vote.
Before we do that, can we see if any citizens have anything before we move into that?
Sure, I'll ask again. I did ask earlier, but I don't know if anyone joined us, but are there any public comments before we go into closed session?
Bill Kopecki. I'd like to ask Greg or somebody about the sidewalk works that are damaging trees for the tree committee.
Mr. Pinckney, did you get that? I couldn't quite make out what Mr. Kopecki said.
I think that some of the tree committee has noticed that some of the sidewalk work has done some damage to maybe tree roots. Is that right, Bill? You're muted right now. I think you pushed *6.
Okay. Yes. There's continuing sidewalk work. I'd like to know where it's happening so I can send somebody or look at the tree roots myself. Can I come by your office one day and get a list?
I'm not sure if he's still on the line, but of course you can, Bill. Just coordinate with the chief as a town manager or the town Miss Brittany Gabriel, and then and Greg will be called in and he can probably provide that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comments? Hearing no further public comments, I will read the authority that we have to go into closed session. So, under General Provisions, Article 3-305B, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Point of order.
Yes, Mr. Best.
Can you please, you stated the authority, can you please state the purpose of the closure? Without divulging the confidentiality as a basis for closure.
Oh, I thought I did that when I said to discuss employment, and but
That's the
it's to discuss a personnel matter.
You need to say more.
It's to discuss a personnel matter that just recently came up that I need to discuss with the commissioners.
It's not enough. You need to state the purpose. You don't have to state the name. You don't necessarily have to state the exact position because you're a tiny town. It might divulge the confidentiality, but you got to say more than just just echoing the statute.
To discuss the possible hiring of an employee.
Okay, that's probably good enough. Thank you.
Chief, can you give me host rights before you leave?
You already have it, ma'am, so you have to cut off the recording.
No, I don't have them because I got kicked out of the meeting. Oh, you did it again? Okay, great, thanks. All right, is there a motion to go into closed session?
I
So
move
moved.
that we go in.
I believe Commissioner Young, you said it first.
I'll second if you want me to second.
I just need a motion. Commissioner Armitage, you want to make the motion?
Sure. I move that we go into closed session to discuss personnel matter.
Commissioner Young, you want to make the second?
A second.
Thank you. Call for the vote. Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3, aye. Ward 4,
Givens, aye.
motion passes at 9:21 PM. We are now in closed session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Make sure you shut down the recording, man. Have a nice night.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause it. Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you, Chief.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night. All right, so who's up here? Mr. Best?
Yes, you wish to excuse me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night,
night,
Kevin.
Mr. Best. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.
All right, guys, this is gonna be real quick. Sorry about that. So what I want to discuss should be really short and quick. Like I said, first, let me just say this is confidential, should not go outside of the 4 of us. If it does get out, I know it had to come out of this meeting. So once I finish, I really don't want to have to discuss it any further. So if you have any questions, please just let me explain first, and then you can ask me any questions or make any comments. So that being said, and I think you all guys,
Before, did you turn the microphone off? I'm at the recorder off.
I put it on pause.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Yeah. Artist, can you double check to make sure I paused it? All right. Thank you. We are back in open session. It is 9:43 PM. Those who attended the closed session were Commissioner Armitage, Commissioner Givens, Commissioner Young, and Commissioner Wheatley. The purpose of the closed session was to discuss with the commission a request to hire. The authority that we had to go in this closed session was under Article 3-305B. And again, this authority is to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, and any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. We also discussed real estate and the possible purchase. Well, yeah, the possible purchase of real estate. And no votes were taken, and that was it. It's 9:45. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Commissioner Gibbons, I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Commissioner Young and Gibbons. Call for the vote.
Gibbons,
Ward
aye.
1. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Young, aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Armitage, I believe I heard you say aye. And Commissioner
Yes.
Wheaton, aye. Motion passes. We are now adjourned, everyone. It's 9:45 PM.
Good night.
Thank you and have a good evening. Good night.
You too. Good night.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Goodbye. Bye.